like the no notification crew. And there's an update. The family's holding a press conference. And I figured I could talk about some of the updates with the story as well. We haven't talked about it in a little while since the shooting. Let's see. Yeah, no notifications, all right? So we'll see. People can join up. I'm going to start the press conference now. If you guys could help me out with the like button.
Can everybody hear me good?
I'll adjust the audio.
So good morning. My name is Bakari Sellers. I'm a lawyer at the Strom Law Firm in Columbia, South Carolina. We're a civil rights firm that is in multiple jurisdictions around the country. I have Robbie Bell with me to my right from Osborne Francis, and I have Jim Bannister with me to my left from Bannister Wyatt Stalvey in Greenville, South Carolina. And we actually have this unique yet tragic honor of representing the family of Tiru Chabba, who was killed here on the campus of Florida State University. And so first of all, I do want to say this. I'm from the big city of Denmark, South Carolina, where we have 3 stoplights and a blinking light. And my mom and dad were always pretty clear that they taught me that the 2 most important words in the English language were the words thank you, and they're not nearly said enough. And so usually when I'm in situations where I do civil rights work for cases around the country, it's an adversarial relationship or antagonistic relationship. And I just want to start by level setting here and saying thank you to Florida State. Thank you to the community here in Tallahassee. Thank you to Aramark. Thank you to the president of this amazing university. Thank you to the Board of Trustees, the General Counsel. Thank you to the Director of Communications. Thank you to the students for their prayers. This has been a very traumatic time for all involved. And I just wanted to start by simply saying thank you. I also wanted to say thank you to the governor. For some of you all who may know me or may have seen some of my other work, Ron DeSantis and I may not be on the same page on a lot, but the way that he stepped up in his leadership during a time of crisis says a great deal about his leadership. And I don't know if he'll take my thank you, but on behalf of the family, I do want to say thank you to the governor of Florida. And last but not least, thank you to law enforcement. Law enforcement did yeoman's work, and not just arriving at the scene, but everything they've done since then. The reason we're here today is because the Chabba family just wants individuals to know their heartfelt sense of gratitude, but also we're asking for a thorough and transparent investigation. We believe that that's necessary for healing. We also believe that that's necessary so that incidents like this do not happen, not just anywhere else in the state of Florida, but anywhere else in this country. We had a funeral that buried a great man last week. And the only conversations that our family has had with law enforcement were when they were notified of his death. And so we're asking that there be some level of transparency. We're asking that there be thoroughness so we can find out the what, the when, the why, and the how this occurred. We'll take questions at the end of this. I'm going to allow Mr. Bannister to come up and speak. But the only thing I ask of the media today is to not mention the shooter's name. We are not in the business of lifting up people who cause that type of harm and damage to our communities. If there are any names you want to lift up, please lift up those who were murdered that day and those who were injured. Mr. Bannister.
Thank you. My name's Jim Bannister, and I, along with my co-counsel, represent Tiru Chabba and his family. Last week, he was laid to rest. His family, friends, and particularly his working buddies at Aramark all were there and spoke and told stories about Tiru, about his compassion, his diligence at work, and his abiding sense of humor. And underlying that funeral was questions about why and what happened. The Chabba family has realized that there's a mourning period that will really never end. They will never get over missing Tiru. He won't be there to see his children graduate from high school. He won't be there to see them marry, to have his grandchildren. And he won't be there with his loving wife to grow old with her as they had planned. That was appropriate for then, and that was the focus for the funeral, celebrating his life. But now it's time to try to get some answers to the why and the what. The why may be difficult. It may even be impossible. But the what is a different story. The family can and should be given some certainty about exactly what happened on that day. And so they recognize and they want everybody to know, the officials and law enforcement, that they want there to be a thorough investigation, and they want that time to be appropriate so that that can happen. But every day that they don't have basic answers to what happened is difficult for them. It's hard to process the grief appropriately without a real understanding of everything that happened on that particular day. And so while they want to give law enforcement and officials the time that they need, we want there to be a sense of urgency. To the extent that it can be done as rapidly as possible, that's what they would like. And I would like to say thank you, too, to the media, because they have respected the family's time to grieve and mourn. But now we're moving into a different process here to figure out what happened. Thank you.
Robbie Bell.
Good morning. My name is Robbie Bell. As a Florida State alumni, this hits hard at home. For such a special place to me, to be here under this horrific tragedy, it's hard to put into words. As a Florida State Seminole, we have a very strong community. It's built on integrity, character, and pride. And as being part of the Florida State family for generations, dating back in my family, family is the most important thing. And we are here
Civil rights,
for one reason, to put the victims and their families first. Thank you.
We'll take any questions you all have. Yes, ma'am?
What gaps or concerns do you believe exist in the current investigation?
We're not sure, mainly because our family and many of us have been kind of left in the dark in terms of what's happening. I will tell you this, Florida State University, Aramark have stepped up. We're not here to cast any aspersions on the university or their leadership. They were gracious enough to give us this space. They showed up at the funeral, which means a lot to the family. But we are asking, and this happens sometimes either intentionally or unintentionally, anytime you have law enforcement investigating other law enforcement, sometimes things don't necessarily go as they should. And so we want there to be a watchful eye. And we know the governor wants answers. We know that the Florida Department of Law Enforcement wants answers. We just want there to be a little sunlight in the process.
Good morning. Despite FSU's cooperation so far, if and when there's litigation over Mr. Chabba's death, will Florida State naturally be a defendant in any legal action? Talk about that at all?
I don't know the answer to that question. Like Mr. Bannister said, it's a lot of questions that we still have remaining. My hope is that this is my hope, my sincerest hope, is that we're able to work together to make these families whole and provide whatever remedies possible without necessarily being antagonistic, without being adversarial. I'm not here for that today. I know there is a great deal of expectation when you have a civil rights lawyer come to town. There's going to be some flame throwing and some rock throwing, but I think that Mr. Bell stated best that this is about family. And we're hopeful that we can have some conversations down the road that may not prove to be adversarial. I'm just not sure yet because we don't have answers to those basic questions.
I have a question about Mr. Chabba, if I may. Can you talk a little bit about why was he here at Florida State on that day, and how often did he come here, and why?
So Mr. Chabba and his family, they reside in Greenville, South Carolina, and he works for Aramark Corporation. And he was here on business. He was here representing Aramark, and they were. This was the second time he had been down in recent months. Aramark had been a vendor with Florida State for a while, and they were in the middle of negotiations for some continuing business concerns. So it was a little bit happenstance that he was here on that day in this particular location.
Yes, ma'am.
I was going to ask you, so is there still no indication yet for police about a motive for?
No, we don't have any answers. I think that you guys have seen the same reports. I mean, a lot of things that we've seen have come from the media. We don't have any insight that you all don't have. No motives. I mean, that's the family wants to know why. As you can imagine, losing a father, having children, and you can't explain why. When your dad goes on a work trip, they're supposed to come home, and so we want to get those answers.
And the Florida legislature is in session now. There are a number of gun
Yeah, as much as the push and pull in me is telling me to get involved in that political debate, the family is not going to leave the politics to the legislature. And so I think one of the things that we can do is be instructive. It's a word we learned this morning, because we want to make sure that we prevent this from happening on the campus of Florida A&M, University of Miami, Bethune-Cookman. I think that there should be some initiative to make sure that our campuses are safe and secure. We need to understand who the shooter was. We need to understand his background. We need to understand what the university knew about who the shooter was in their background. We need to know what Tallahassee State Community College knew about his background. We need to know about his interactions with law enforcement. Were there any interactions with law enforcement? We need to know about his interactions in the Child Protective Services arena. So those are a lot of the questions that we just need to find some answers to. But the politics, we're not here for that. As I started, I just wanted to give a huge shout out to Ron DeSantis. We can argue over immigration policy later, but right now we're just trying to make sure this family heals.
Would you be looking at Leon County Sheriff for any culpability in the situation being with the weapon?
I don't
Should
have
they
that
arrest the
answer.
stepmother?
Yeah, the
Should the
question that
stepmother
I
be
would ask
arrested?
you to ask is, how did this weapon get in the hands of this young man? And if we're able to figure out that, then we can go back.
And that was kind of my question. In the interest of transparency, what kind of information are you looking for about the alleged shooter, about his time with the Leon County Sheriff?
Well, I mean, I'm going to let Robbie chime in here as well, but one of the things we want to know is where he got the gun from, how he got the gun, those type of things. Should he have had the weapon? You know, I believe that there are good laws on the books about people who have diagnosed mental health issues. Was there a diagnosis, those type of things? But I'll let Robbie chime in too.
Yeah, all I have to say is difficult questions require difficult answers, and that's what we're here for, to try to help solve some of these questions.
Morning, guys. If you could help me out with the like
there's
button.
Still a lot to be investigated. We're going to handle our investigation with the utmost professionalism, and hopefully we'll help the families and the victims find some answers here.
Yes, ma'am.
What would justice look like for the Chabba family?
Great question, but I like to be intentional in my words. Justice for the Chabba family is Tiru with his family for holidays. Justice is him picking his kids up from daycare. Justice is him sitting around the dinner table. Justice is him being able to celebrate those birthdays, like Mr. Bannister said, graduations, weddings. So justice for the Chabba family is a little bit out of the realm of possibility now because his life was taken. What we're looking for is accountability. We want accountability in the criminal process that's being undertaken now. We're looking for accountability from the university to see what, if anything, they could have done to prevent it or prevent these things from happening in the future. Everybody stepped up to the plate so far. And we just want that transparency so we can answer the questions that you all are all asking. I mean, it's cool to ask us these questions, but the people with the answers simply, they're not. We want to know. They're not here. We'll do a couple more because I'm now feeling like I'm in Charleston, South Carolina, and under my shirt is now sweating.
Can I follow up on that just briefly? Because I think justice definitely does not look like the canonization of the perpetrators of violent crimes. And I think too often that the victims are left with a feeling like the focus has become all on the perpetrator of the crime, that they are then touted in the media, they become famous, and that would simply not be appropriate in this situation.
Two more questions. I know you have one, and then I'll get you the last, okay?
I want to return to the point you made a few minutes ago about making the family whole. Mr. Bannister, if I'm getting far afield, please tell me here. Florida is a sovereign immunity state. This shooting took place on state property. We have a process in Florida called relief bills or claims bills. It takes years, and I'm saying sometimes decades, for a family, for the survivors, to receive financial compensation for a wrongful death. Are you aware of that?
We are becoming aware of that as we receive some of the paperwork from the Victims Assistance Program, and I will say that the forms leave you with a lot more questions than answers, and I'm a lawyer, so.
Yeah, we know that there are some obstacles. We know that there are some obstacles legally in, Leon County Courthouse and federal courthouses, but we believe we'll get accountability, and we believe that we're hopeful that the university will work with us. We're hopeful the sheriff's department will work with us. And again, we don't anticipate any adversarial relationship, and that's not why the family sent me down here, and that's not why I'm here today. Last question, and then we can answer some individual questions if you have them. I don't know the answer to that yet. We are exploring what resources the shooter and or his family have. We are going to do everything we can because this individual, he was a vice president. He was a father. He was a husband. There's a lot there that was taken from the Chabba family. And so I don't really have that answer for you either, but we'll explore any and all remedies possible. The last thing I'll say is thank you again to Florida State University. Thank you to the president of this institution. We saw you last Friday. You didn't have to come to the funeral. You could have sent a big delegation or made a big hoopla outside, but you just wanted to come and be a part of that celebration in this particular community at this particular time. And so there's a great deal of thanks that the president deserves. Thank you to the governor. Thank you to law enforcement. We just want a transparent, open investigation. A little sunshine never hurt anybody. Thank you, and God bless the great state of Florida, the state of South Carolina, and God bless all of you all. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. That was the press conference. So let's talk about it a little bit. This is the guy, 20 years old, Phoenix Ikner. I believe he killed 2 people. Victims, Tiru Chabba, 45-year-old father of 2 from Greenville, South Carolina. He was on campus working as a regional vice president for Aramark Collegiate Hospitality when he was killed. He also killed Robert Morales, 57-year-old FSU dining services employee, and injured 6 others. Now, this guy, Phoenix Ikner, he's alive. He was hospitalized. He used a handgun that was owned by his stepmother. Okay, previously owned by his stepmother. Leon County Sheriff Deputy Jessica Ikner. They also say he had a history of extremist views, misogynist, hateful views, white supremacist ideologies. They say he adored Adolf Hitler and Nazi Germany. What else? Made inflammatory statements claiming that multiculturalism and communism are destroying America, and referring to protesters as dirty rats. What's wrong? What's wrong with that? Dirty rats. He also expressed disdain for civil rights figures, reportedly stating that Rosa Parks was in the wrong. And so the thing with him, the family makeup, so his biological parents, his name is not actually Ikner Phoenix. He was born Christian Gunnar Erickson. And his dad is Christopher Ikner, and his mother, I guess, is Annie Marie Erickson. Born Christian Gunnar Erickson. And so they had a custody battle, the mother and the father. And the mother took him to Norway without authorization, violating a court order. She was later arrested and charged. At 15, he changed his name to Phoenix Ikner, seeking a fresh start after the tumultuous events in his childhood. His stepmother, Jessica, a veteran deputy with the Leon County Sheriff's Office, she served over 18 years. So they're saying he's had some kind of, weird dynamic with the family growing up. His mother, something about his mother, and grandma was snapping apparently. His grandmother, apparently it says raging grandmother, blistering 3-word blast at her ex-son-in-law and his cop wife after FSU shooter grandson killed 2. Highly emotional maternal grandmother Susan branded Ikner's father Christopher and his sheriff's deputy wife Jessica rotten bastard people. Rotten bastard people. For their influence over the smartest, sweetest kid. She revealed that she and Ikner's mother, Anne, had not seen the alleged double killer Ikner in 10 years despite repeated attempts following a messy custody battle. Ikner, who reportedly promoted white supremacist views, is accused of killing 2 people and wounding 6. They taught him how to hunt. They're bigoted people and they hated a lot of people. 79-year-old grandma Susan at her Tallahassee condo. He was the sweetest kid, smart, she added before breaking down, recovering her composure and clearly very angry amid all the grief. She went on, the rotten bastard people. We had just found a new phone number a couple of months ago and tried to call the house, and the father picked up the phone and hung up and changed the number. That Chrissy asshole. The grandma's not happy. I have no idea what we're going to do now. I have no idea. When asked how her daughter, Ikner's mother, is right now, the grandmother replied, she's a basket case, meaning all over the place. At that point, a tearful Anne appeared at the door of the neat home where she's staying with her mother. She said, I'm just as shocked as everybody else. I'm sorry. This is very hard. It's very upsetting. It's very upsetting. You just don't know, or you just don't think this is going to happen. There's a lot of up and down today. They're saying, I feel like they've said this about a couple of people recently. They said he had ADHD. That's it. He was a great student. He was sweet. It was the worst custody battle. Jessica Ikner and her husband Chris raised Ikner and allegedly barred his biological mother's side of the family from seeing him. And here, it looks like he's wearing a MAGA hat. A registered Republican. Horrible when you're alienating son's dad as mentally unstable as he, along with LCSO cop wife, that they can't respond when you write to ask if everything is all right with my son who studies FSU, she wrote in a now deleted post. Also, she snapped. She fumed. Then added, feel sorry for everyone at FSU and their kids. Just 2 hours after the initial post, a friend responded asking if she's okay. Damn. So that was it. Just want to do a little update. Seems like this kid had a lot of issues, maybe growing up, potentially. Well, the parents did. The parents are screwed up, so. Kidnapping a child and taking him to a foreign country is a felony. A felony alone is reason enough to lose custody. But a felony relating to kidnapping the child during a custody case is grounds for permanent separation. That's true. Mom took off with the kid. Mama's love. Yeah, Layla, mama's love. Parents who hate each other. Even though his mom illegally took him to Norway, she should still have supervised visits. To not allow the mother to see her child for 10 years is cruel. I don't know, it's kind of dangerous though if you're kidnapping kids. I mean, I guess it's, I mean, we don't know the whole story. Grandma's pissed. She said those rotten bastards. Wow. All right. Well, I guess I'm just going to head out now. I just want to give a little update to that. Doesn't seem like there's much interest in this, but at least an update. We'll see what happens. There's another story I might come back later and cover. Another story. An interesting twist to a story. Let me see. Anything else this morning real quick? I got my tires taken care of this morning. I'm a little tired, but fixed the tires. I guess that's it for now. Oh, Karen Reed, too. I want to see the cross-examination. I might relax for a little bit and watch the cross and see what else today brings later on. The Tree Man, by the way, if you didn't see the Tree Man yesterday, the last stream that I did, we had the ending to that. So the last stream that I did, just scroll to the end. The man came down. There was a whole commotion in the neighborhood, screaming, cursing, people yelling. Oof. See you in 15 or whatever pops next, right?